Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham AFC from the point of view of long-term fans and new fans.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in.
Hello and welcome back to episode 108 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
So we're back from holiday.
Hola.
It's absolutely shattered. There's a couple of points I need to make quite early on in the podcast. Normally this podcast, I put it together over a week. So it normally, little bit a day, get it all right, lots of planning goes into every episode, even though it might not seem like that sometimes, but it does. It takes a lot of time to put together. Been on holiday for the last week. Haven't had that time to prepare. So I don't think this episode is going to be a shambles. I think it's got potential to be just an Omnishambles, a complete mess of a show. So maybe a pre-apology, just if it is a bit of a mess. There is a distinct lack of notes in this. Great. So I'm relying on you heavily to fill the gaps that there will inevitably be. I can't even speak properly. A week in Ibiza and it's just complete meltdown.
And we weren't even out partying.
No, not really.
Shall we just kind of go in and just talk about our shirts today?
Yeah, we've got no clean clothes.
We do, because I've done 4 loads of washing since we came back.
Yeah, but you know what it's like when you come back from holiday and you take everything you own on holiday and then you come back and it's got to be washed, and Sian's been doing a sterling job getting it washed. We bought these T-shirts while we were out there.
Hey there, Delilah.
Yeah, so this is from Delilah's Bar in San Antonio in Ibiza. It's a Welsh bar. We spent quite a bit of time there while we were there. They've been going for 25 years, so these are 25-year anniversary shirts.
Can I turn around?
Yeah, you can do for anyone.
I don't know how low do I need to be?
Looks like you're twerking on camera now. So, so we've thrown these on, really.
To be fair, we did tell, we didn't even get her name.
No, I know.
But we had a chat with the owner, who was lovely. She's not old, but she called me babe, and it just reminded me, because she's from South Wales, I think. She had that kind of accent, and it just reminded me of my nana.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And apparently I sound like I'm from Cardiff.
I
sound like I'm from Cardiff. But I'm obviously not. From Wrexham. So that was a bit weird.
Yeah, it was. So, so we've hit the blues now. Back from holiday. That's done for another year. We're looking at booking another one, though. Pretty sharpish, I think.
As soon as I get another job, the holiday is getting booked.
Yeah, it was weird, the Wrexham vibe while we were away, because when we were going, so we flew from Manchester Airport. And it was strange whether we were just in the right place at the right time, but we heard quite a few people saying, oh, we're from Wrexham, or somebody else. We heard it quite a few different places. I was quite intrigued by this, and I wanted to sort of bring it up and talk about it on the podcast, because I've never heard so many people, not talking to us directly, just in the background and, overhearing conversations saying they're from Wrexham. And I wondered if the whole sort of perception of Wrexham's now changed because of what's happening with the football club and because of Rob and Ryan. I think it probably is, and we know that the perception's changing. But it reminded me of something. So quite a few years ago, say 15 years ago, we knew somebody who owned a business. And it was based in Wrexham. I would say it was on the more northerly side of Wrexham. But they used to advertise this, we're not going to name names or businesses or anything, but they used to advertise this business as being just outside Chester. Chester's always been sort of considered as
Posh.
bit more upmarket than sort of Wrexham, and that's how they advertised it. They got quite a bit of sort of stick for it because people going, just outside Chester, you're in Wrexham, mate. You know, so you know they did get quite a bit of stick for doing it, and I'm just wondering if that same business owner was still running something now, whether they would still say just outside Chester, or whether they would embrace the whole we are Wrexham sort of thing now. Do you get what I mean?
I do. I've actually got a story myself.
Oh, go on.
Weirdly enough, whilst I was in Ibiza,
Yeah.
when I was 19,
Yes.
on my first girly holiday, we met these people, and they said, "Oh, where are you from?" And I said, "I'm from Wrexham," and they kind of looked at me like, "What? Where the hell's that?" And I went, "It's near Chester."
Yeah.
I didn't say it was.
Yeah.
But basically, that's sort of, people used to know where Chester was because obviously it's a city.
Yeah.
It's quite famous for its war. It's
the Roman vibe, but
Yeah.
also the anyone who's into horse racing as well. They've got they do horse racing in Chester, so a lot of people used to know it. Yeah.
So I did, but now, not because I was ashamed I was from Wrexham, it's just that's what I did. But now it's like you say you're from Wrexham and people are like, "Oh yeah, I know Wrexham."
I know.
Delilah's had lots of, we're talking quite a lot about Ibiza, but I think we're trying to reminisce and hold on to the holiday vibes as much as we can. But Delilah's we'd shared it on our Twitter, they had this list of cocktails, and one of the cocktails was the Wrexham Wrecker.
Yeah.
Which was quite apt with some the things that have been going on in the news.
We'll come
we
to
will
that.
talk about that shortly.
Yeah, definitely. So the whole reason I sort of brought it up is because what I started musing on, shall we say, was I wonder if all of them people that we had overheard in the airport saying, I'm from Wrexham, I wondered if they were from Wrexham. But by the way, it's not unusual for quite a few people from Wrexham to be in that airport. It is.
The main airport.
It's the main airport people in Wrexham would go to.
Yeah.
But it's a massive airport.
Yeah.
I was just wondering whether these people were actually from Wrexham or they were from just outside Wrexham. And now, because of that total shift, people who don't actually quite come from Wrexham are saying they're from Wrexham because of all the good things that are going on around the club.
Yeah.
And I just found it quite interesting because, as I say, I'd never overheard so many people saying they were from Wrexham before. And maybe there has always been that many, but people just didn't want to say they were from Wrexham, or, you know, they all that sort of conversation. And maybe people are a bit prouder of actually saying they're from Wrexham now.
I don't think I've never not been proud of being Wrexham, but it was just easier to kind of give that
geographical sort of thing. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
We nearly lost one of our cases on holiday as well. This is Wrexham related. It might not sound it, but it is.
Yeah.
So we got to Ibiza. So we got to the airport. All the cases came off. I still blame our son for this because he said that's ours. Pulled it off. Anyway, we opened. We've got a case with codes on them. We put the code in. It opened. Didn't check inside, obviously. 3 cases. We have a private transfer, so we found our driver. He was taking us to. We sound really posh then, but anyway.
That's purely for me because I hate being on buses with other people.
So we were in the car halfway to the hotel, which is only about 25 minutes away, and the driver gets a phone call and says, "The people in your car have got the wrong case." And I went, "Definitely not," because I checked the codes on each of them. All right. Anyway. Checked, opened up the cases, and one of them just happened to have the same code as ours and was the same colour and from the same place. So anyway, we go back to the airport, and the people whose case I had taken live about 5 minutes down the road. They're from Wrexham as well, because I came with the case, which, just to make it even more embarrassing, the case that we picked up was a good foot taller than our actual one. But anyway, they went, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Wrexham." He goes, "No way, we're from Wrexham as well." And we had like a bit of a conversation. So it didn't get your names either, but sorry for taking your case.
They were from Kevin, so if you happen to be watching this, hello.
Yes.
We're sorry we nearly ruined your holiday.
Yeah, by taking most of your clothes.
I think it was the woman's clothes as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was. I think while we were there as well, I think one maybe a common misconception is that I just walk around in Wrexham shirts all day long. That's not true. I do wear them on the podcast, but I don't. Apart from going to games, I don't tend to wear them out and about. One night we were walking next to the beach. I had my Wrexham top on. And we did get a shout, didn't we?
Yeah.
Wrexham.
They must have been from Wrexham because they had the Wrexham accent, and they also, that kind of, their wording of what they said.
Yeah, but
I can't say it because I sound really odd when I say it.
But they weren't being derogatory either, which I think someone from any other part of the UK maybe would have been. So we got one shout out, didn't we, on the night on the night that I wore the shirt anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's less of holiday talk. Let's talk about let's talk a little bit about the actual club. Before we move on to that, if you do want to support the show, we accept all of your support. We greatly appreciate it. You can buy us a coffee. Our Buy Me a Coffee page is buymeacoffee.com/me the wife. Special thank you this week to Ruby Slippers, friend of the show, and we got an anonymous one as well, who said, "Just found your podcast, think it's great." So hello, whoever you are, we will do videos saying thank you for supporting the show. Obviously, because we've been away, we've got a few to catch up on, but we will get them done.
Yeah.
Just remember, if you do want to support the show and you do go to our Buy Me a Coffee page, if you want your name read out, you just need to make sure that you put your name on there, because we do get a few anonymous ones. But yeah, if that's you,
it doesn't pick your name up by your email address, as Sarah found out.
Yes, yeah. So anything like that. Right. We've got a few games to talk about.
We have.
We might as well be truthful straight off the bat. So we've had 3 games in North America. We've had the Bournemouth game, we've had the Chelsea game, and we've also had the Vancouver Whitecaps game. We didn't watch any of them. The reason for that is the Bournemouth game was on when we were going to Ibiza, the day. The Whitecaps game was when we were coming home.
Yeah.
And the one in the middle was just on at a time that, you know, you have to bear in mind this was a family holiday. We could have stayed up because it was on early hours of the morning. We could have stayed up and did it. We took the decision. If we were at home, definitely would have done it. We took the decision not to because it might have been to the detriment of the following day of the holiday, and we didn't want our son just to be bored because we were just like vegetables at the side of the pool all day, and we didn't want to go in the pool with him and didn't. So we took the decision not to do it. Look, we've watched the highlights of all the games, so we'll have a quick chat about them, but we're not going to go into massive amounts of depth because, you know, as we explained, we haven't actually watched them. So the Bournemouth game.
Yes.
Now, this has happened. Right, let's get this right. This game happened before the release of the last episode, but it happened after we recorded the last episode because we had to record the last one,
which we
early.
did explain in our last episode.
So we thought we'd rerun because we couldn't talk about it in the last episode, even though it was released after the game had actually been on. Look, so it was first run out of the tour, 1-1 draw, which is not too shabby at all. I had a look at the players that they played. Billing played. I noticed Solanke played. Senorsi, I can't remember his name, but he played as well. And went 1-0 up, own goal, decent. They equalised in the second half. I think for me, it was a good start. To hold a Premier League team, Because they could probably argue, look, we didn't start with our strongest team. We didn't finish with our strongest team. Some of our first team were thrown in at various points during the game.
Yeah.
Look, all in all, we probably did the same thing. We probably didn't start with our strongest, end with our strongest, but our strongest was in there somewhere.
Yeah.
The same sort of thing. Teams for me are never going to put in maximum effort in a pre-season. They want to get their fitness up. They're also a little bit hesitant about getting injured, stuff like that. This isn't a full tilt. I dare say if this was an FA Cup game and both teams were throwing everything at it, it might have ended a little bit different. But it's a pre-season. We got a draw out of it. I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah.
I think it was the perfect start to a tour, to hold a Premier League team in front of about 13,000 fans, which I don't think that was under the attendance. I think it was full. I think that was about the attendance of the ground.
Yeah.
So decent amount of people there. So I don't think you could have asked. Well, you could have asked for more. You could have asked for them to win, but I think I think it's decent. I think for the first game.
Yeah, definitely.
Second game was Chelsea.
Yep.
In Santa Clara.
Yeah.
Some would argue, no offence to Bournemouth, some would argue a bigger game, even though maybe Chelsea haven't been doing great recently. They're still still a big club.
Yeah.
Now, we obviously played them in pre-season last year, and we lost 5-0 in that. Now, I was going to ask your opinion on this because for me, I was just thinking, I was talking to a few other Wrexham fans before the game, and we were talking about what we hoped would happen, during this match. And I sort of said, for me, after we got beat 5-0 last year, just something better than that.
Yeah.
I think for me it would be to score
and
to concede less.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to come out of that game losing 3-1, I think, look, it's not a case of every time, we lost against them 5-0. It's not a case of every time you play a team you get the same result. I get that. I'm not that stupid. But, you want to see just something better than the last time that you played.
Of course you do.
It wasn't their full strength team. Of course it wasn't. But, you just want something to hold on to. And I don't know if you think that's me being a little bit too negative prior to that game.
No, because I think every game that you play, whether it's pre-season or actually a league game or a trophy game or whatever, you always want to do better than the game previously. So if you lost like we did against Chelsea last pre-season, then you are going to want to go in there and give. Maybe not, like you said, maybe not your all, because obviously it is a pre-season and people...
As close to your all as you can. I think some players are out to impress. They're going to give everything.
There are players, obviously, that played that don't tend to play regularly in the league. So they're definitely... They probably would have been the people that would have been given their all because they want to impress Parky. They want to, the coaching staff, they want people to know, and whether there's scouts over there, watching these games, I don't know. I think for them, they probably gave more than your Elliot Lees or your
maybe, and that sounds bad. I don't want anyone to think that we're saying these players aren't giving everything. What I sort of mean by it is
just a bit reserved, because
a little bit more in the sense of if there's a 50-50 that if you go into it, there's a risk you're going to hurt yourself.
You're going to take a step back.
You may be going to go, I'll let that one go, in pre-season, whereas if it's a full-blooded league game, you're going to go, no, I'm going in and I'm winning that. I think your mentality slightly shifts a little bit during the pre-season.
And I'm sure Parky says, yes, give it your all, but, be mindful that the season starts in 10 days, 11 days, something like that. So, yes, give your all, but kind of just...
Just don't get injured.
Just don't give it 100% because we need you. We've already got Mullen out, but we do have some. And a lot of people have said for the games that Sebastian Ravan. I don't know why I did They're saying that he looks like a really, really solid signing for us.
Yeah.
And I'm quite excited because obviously we've watched the highlights, but we haven't really kind of seen him like.
No.
So I'm excited to see him when the league starts in August.
Yeah, I mean, one player who did give his all, and I think will always give his all, is probably James McLean.
Obviously.
2 minutes in, left a little bit on Levi Colwill. I didn't think it was that bad. It just left a little bit on him. He took a little bit of, sort of like, he was a bit aggrieved by it. Sort of went to grab him. James went to put his arms up. I think he caught him on the side of the head a little bit. And then there was just a little bit of handbags, wasn't there, where they were pushing each other's shirts into each other. You did a bit of a Twitter post about it, though, didn't you?
It annoyed me because I love James McLean. I think he's.
Sorry, I just went to pick my drink up and it wasn't there. I don't know where I put it.
I think James McLean is a really passionate player, and the abuse that he gets, it's a really difficult one because we've talked about this so many times before that we don't agree or disagree or whatever with his. We just stay impartial because that's we are an impartial podcast.
We're not impartial.
No, when it comes to political things, we are impartial.
Right. Sorry, I wasn't listening to what you were saying.
What a shock. We're impartial with like political things because, but people on Twitter, not even, Wrexham fans, obviously not in this conversation, but like you had, fans from other teams, and I'm assuming a lot of these were Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
Basically said, just, I don't know what exactly they were saying, but they were like just goading and just saying things about James McLean, and it was just like, it's so tiresome. It's like James McLean, you either somebody put on the post, I think it was Merculago, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. But they said basically he's a Marmite player. You either like him or you hate him. Wrexham Wrexham fans love him. Fans who are on the opposing teams hate him.
But then we always knew that was going to be the case with him before he came. But
it does get like really, like for me, and I don't know if there's anybody else out there, but for me, the Wrexham players, I've never met any of them, but I feel like they're my family and I feel protected over them and stuff. So when you hear bad things being said about them, you just want to go in there and just like, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
No.
Look.
Back off.
I think Jimmy can look after himself.
Yes, and somebody said that. Somebody said, do you know what? Water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
And I get that. These are fully grown men, and I know, but you do also have to think that maybe it does affect.
Maybe.
And
I don't think it does.
No, but So I and I actually put on the bottom of it, written by the wife, because I don't want people thinking that, because a lot of people think that when posts are getting put onto Twitter or whatever social media medium we're posting on, they think it's Ryan, but it's not. So I have to, Ryan does post on there now and again.
Rarely.
But I have to say, because obviously I'm not as...
if it's opinions, it's nice that you put it on there.
Yeah,
because there's two of us. And,
exactly, yeah. I don't want people to think that my opinion is necessarily Ryan's opinion, because we are two separate people. I have my opinions and he has his opinions. Yeah. And sometimes we don't agree.
Oh, yeah.
That's very rare that we don't agree.
Yeah, more.
But we do disagree. We don't like argue and but yeah. So I had my penny's worth. I told everybody it was me that wrote the post. So come for me if you've got a problem with it.
Look, the game finished 2-2. Nkunku scored first.
Who?
Nkunku. Christopher Nkunku. I'll move on before you say something.
No, I thought you said Okonkwo, but said it really weirdly. But then I thought, why would Okonkwo score?
Bolton scored, which was great to see. Loved that. I think even more happy, though, that Marriott got a goal. And not only did he get a goal, it was a great goal as well. He won the ball back, made a great run, great finish, weaker foot. Everything about it was brilliant. And I think you maybe could have argued we maybe should have won it. But at the same time, I think if you speak to a Chelsea fan, they would very much feel with the chances they created. I know Reece James hit the post and they created a few other chances. They would very much feel they should have put that game to bed before they were in that position. But they didn't, and we got a 2-2 draw out of it.
Congo did a stern job as well.
Yeah, he definitely did.
Obviously, he let 2 goals in, but
yeah,
he saved probably a lot more than that. So.
Yeah, there was 32, just over 32,000 people there. It looked really empty though, because the capacity of that stadium is so big. You're like, oh, there's hardly anyone there.
Was this the 49ers stadium?
Yeah, so because it was only half full ultimately, which which maybe they could have picked another venue, but I think
it's the 49ers, isn't it?
Yeah, last game, Vancouver Whitecaps, biggest attendance of the whole tour, 34,748 for that one. First goal for, I've heard Revan's name, Revan. I've heard it pronounced about 12 different times in the last week. So look, we don't know. We just don't know.
Should we just start calling him Seb?
Yeah, Seb.
Seb
Got his first goal, put us 1-0 up. They equalised in the second half. And then we scored 3 second half goals from McLean, good header actually. Lee and Davis got another one.
Good to see him.
Yeah, it is.
Well.
I think you just really want to see him as much. I think Marriott's the one I want to see really pushing on.
Yeah.
But especially with Mullin being out, he's the one that I want to step up. And, in the Chelsea game, the goal he scored, thought he was brilliant. So, yeah, I want him. But the other person I want to see stepping up now is Jordan Davis, because I know he's got the talent and we definitely need another attacking midfielder. One that we know we can go to all the time. When Lee didn't have a rest last season.
No.
Did not have a rest. He looked shattered by the end of the season. But I just think if Jordan was at a level that you could rely on him a little bit more, maybe Lee wouldn't have been as tired as he looked towards the end of the season.
Yeah, we want to kind of we want the players to, like if Lee, like you said, was tired, that somebody could slot into his place but be just like Lee, have this kind of same,
and Jordan can be that player, but he just hasn't shown it when he's been playing in, over the last season.
And you could argue that's because he's not getting enough game time.
You could,
But it's hard, it's difficult, isn't it? When you've got somebody like Elliot Lee, you kind of want to keep Elliot Lee on that field.
Yeah, you 100% you do. Look, all in all, successful tour, I think.
Yeah.
You got 2 draws and a win against Premier League opposition and against MLS opposition. I think the Whitecaps one, the thing that perhaps is a little bit more impressive about that one, yes, we've won that game, but the Whitecaps are in the middle of their season. So they are.
Right.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit different in the MLS. So they're up to speed. They're playing.
They haven't had a break in Vegas and all that kind
exactly.
of stuff.
So they're up to speed, and their fitness is where it needs to be. So to put in a performance like that, I think was really good.
Yeah.
And I don't think the US and Canada sort of pre-season stuff are going away. Are you happy that they're not going away, or would you like to see more games over here? Or are you happy for them to go away and do the sort of 3 games in the US for the
I would
foreseeable?
like... Well, obviously we have got pre-season friendlies over here.
Yes.
So I think as long as they kind of spread it evenly, so, the games are for international fans to get to, and if people obviously from Wrexham want to go and see them, fantastic. But I think it's also beneficial for them to have pre-season games over here, because there are people who can't afford to be travelling to, these different places abroad. So, I think as long as they, excuse me,
Not going to choke.
No, as long as they, like I said, spread them evenly, and we all kind of get the chance to go to these pre-season friendlies, then I've got no issue with them going abroad. And it's such a great experience for the guys.
It is.
And I just think,
I do think it's not like a sour grapes thing that, people going, yeah, but you get the whole season, it's nice for people in America and Canada. Yeah, I get that. I'm not really down on that in any way, shape, or form. I do enjoy them going out and playing in the in North America. I think for me though, the one thing is I think it is important to get a couple of friendlies in the UK, especially at your home ground as well.
Yeah, on home turf. Yeah,
the whole climate thing and all that sort of thing. And people think it's stupid, but it's not. You know, you can't go and play 3, 4, 5 games in America and then all of a sudden bang, you're into a League Two season in a rainy Wrexham, and it just. I think you just need them couple of games in the UK just to.
You need to get your British legs back on them.
British legs.
British legs to run around on British soil.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
So obviously it wasn't just the men who had their international tour, it was also the Wrexham women team. So unfortunately they did lose all 3 of their games on the tour.
Quite heavily as well.
Yeah, so they lost 9-0 to SoCal FC. 6-1 to I say Tigers, but is it Tigres? Tigres. And 7-0 to Portland Thorns Academy. This is the first time they've been on tour though, isn't it?
It is.
So, maybe next season, maybe next pre-season, they may be that little bit better, but I don't know. How beneficial do you think it is for the tour for the women? Do you think it's as beneficial as it is for the guys? Because obviously they lost, like you said, quite heavily. Do you think that... I've got a really itchy bite on my arm.
It's quite difficult to answer that, isn't it? I know what you mean. What you're asking is how beneficial is
trudging them all over there
just to concede a total of like 20 odd goals and only score 1. And I'm not saying to lose by that sort of margin can be really demoralising.
Of course.
And is that the best preparation for
going into a new season,
to be feeling quite demoralised that you've been picked apart and blown out the water by 3 teams over in the States? Look, one thing America do really well is women's football. They were one of the very first to be banging that drum, and it shows with the quality that they've got in the women's game. So anyone going from the UK out to the States to play an American women's team is going to struggle, So I think it's a difficult one because from everything I've seen, I saw Del Morgan's post saying how she'd really enjoyed it, and I think if you're going to ask somebody, is it worthwhile? Then one of the goalkeepers who's let in quite a lot of goals during this tour, if they're saying they found it really beneficial and they enjoyed it. Then, you could sort of argue, okay, yeah, maybe, but perhaps it's maybe a slightly better picking process of your opponents for next time you do it to try and match the levels a little bit. I don't know.
Think they should not go next season, next pre-season.
No,
I don't think they should say, oh, do you know what? This isn't for us. I think, like you said, it can be demoralising, but also these 3 games that they played internationally, I think you could say that they're like, right, these are our things that we need to work on before the start of the season. We need you to do this, we need you to do that, we need to come together a bit, and blah blah, it's going to be, I think, a lot of work for the coaching staff, and it can highlight issues.
Do you know you said about 5 times in the last 60 seconds?
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm going to try not to say it now. But the coaching...
It's the worst thing in the world when someone says, don't say this.
Yeah.
I've thrown you. I've completely thrown you now.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is this gives the coaching team and the players a good opportunity now to strengthen the weaknesses that were obviously highlighted during those 3 games.
Yes.
So, I don't think it was... I don't think it was a bad thing for them to go.
No.
And yes, it may have been demoralising at the time.
At occasions, perhaps.
Yeah, but I think
I think
it'll be a good thing for them.
Yeah, I think
ultimately.
I think the trip was something that they got a lot from.
Yeah.
You know, personally as well as professionally. So yeah, I'd love to see the women going to do it. I just felt a little bit bad for them that perhaps they'd been pitted against teams that appeared to be on a different level than they were.
Are they still in their season then, the women, or is it different to the MLS?
I don't know. I don't really follow women's sort of football in the States. Soccer. Look, some upcoming games for the men. Wrexham AFC 11 are going to be playing Hensford Town FC on Tuesday the 30th of July at 7 p.m. Hensford. I'm not sure.
Is it in this country?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I've never heard of it.
No. So the reason it's a Wrexham AFC 11, I wouldn't expect anyone really who's been out on the WrexCoast Tour to be playing in this game. Be a select 11. It might be some academy players. It might be some fringe players. Maybe a couple of players who didn't feature that much on the tour, but I think everyone did feature quite heavily on the tour. So that's one. Then the first team will be back in action for their last pre-season friendly at the racecourse on Saturday the 3rd of August against Fleetwood. League One team last season got relegated to League Two. It'd be a good run out, that will. You know, somebody who's got experience in League One last season, they've been relegated down to League Two, back at the racecourse. I would say that, all right, it's not as flashy of a pre-season game as perhaps playing Chelsea in the Levi Stadium, the home of the 49ers. Look, it's not as flashy, but I think it is one of the more important games of the pre-season.
I was speaking to somebody, obviously not going to name any names, but they wanted to, they heard about the Fleetwood game and they were like, yes, want tickets, want to go and see it, Found out it was only a pre-season game and decided, oh no, I don't want to go. It's like, well...
Really?
Yeah. It's like, well, you know, and then they complain that they don't get tickets. So you've got, you know, and they've got a perfect opportunity to go and see them because there's still loads of tickets left.
Yeah.
You know, just...
Because what we've done, we purposely haven't bought tickets for this game because we know there's loads of people that don't always get to go to Wrexham games.
Yeah.
So because we've got season tickets and we'll be
going the week later.
Yeah, we're going to every league game at home, as many away as we can. We thought instead of just buying tickets to the pre-season, we'll leave it and we'll let other people who maybe don't get a chance to go and watch a game at a cheaper price than normal. But as it turns out, we might end up going anyway because there's loads of seats left. So I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's an interesting one, that one. Look, we're going to touch on it. It's sort of old news now, a little bit, but Rosie Gate. Yeah. We've got to talk about it. We've got to give our opinion on it. So she was being interviewed on some American network, and she was obviously trying to suck up a little bit to the person interviewing her, saying how beautiful LA was, how beautiful the cars and the buildings, and she was walking down the road and there was just lovely flower beds all the way down. And what she actually said was you couldn't have anything like that in Wrexham because people in Wrexham would just destroy them. Now, look, I don't want to spend loads of time on this, but I think a lot of people have been jumping on the I've never liked a sort of bandwagon, which I'm not a massive fan of. I think she's misspoke. Maybe, how can I put it? I think whether you're media trained or not, as a footballer, when you're giving an interview that you know people in Wrexham are going to see, what you're ultimately doing in that interview is you're bad-mouthing the people of the town that you play for.
That pay your wages.
That pay your wages, which is so wrong for her to do. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm sure every town, every city up and down the UK have problem problems with vandalism, youths.
I bet people in California and that do as well.
Yeah, bored youths
Or
who are
wherever
just
she were
ripping
living.
out flowers or graffitiing walls. I'm sure that every town or city has that problem in the UK. I'm sure they do. And Wrexham's no different.
No.
But to say it on an interview in the way that she did, it just made me sad, really, that you go, look, at the end of the day, we're here supporting you in what you do. And to sort of throw us...
Ice cream.
Ice cream van again. Loves it. And to sort of throw it back in our face, it felt like a little bit. Look, I'd say I'm not going to dwell on it because she's made a mistake. She said what she said. She's made a mistake. I would like her to come out and say, I am sorry. I think for me, I don't know whether I'm being a bit over the top.
She might not be sorry though. That's the thing. Why come out and say you're sorry if you don't mean it? If she doesn't, if she's not wholeheartedly apologetic, what's the point? It's just an empty apology, isn't it? And it's
I suppose so.
And it's pointless.
Yeah, I know, but it's a quite difficult thing to hear, I think, for me. You know, for any footballer to come out and trash the people of the city that you play for or the town that you play for, that sticks in your throat a little bit.
I think, unfortunately, a lot when people saw that interview, I think a lot of people lost a little bit of respect for Rosie, which is sad because she is one of our Wrexham women players, and she's good at what she does.
Yeah.
So it's sad that people have lost respect for her, and hopefully, when we kind of get back into the season and the swing of things, she'll kind of,
maybe
build that back up again.
Hopefully.
Yeah, because it is sad, but basically don't badmouth the town that you play for because Wrexham people are really strong-headed. That's not the word.
Pig-headed?
No, not pig-headed, but they're very passionate about the community. They love the town that they're from, us included, and it's like, well, yeah, and when you hear that from somebody who's not actually from Wrexham as well, it does stick in your throat a little bit.
A little bit.
Look, but it's been done. She said it. People have had their say.
We are quite forgiving in Wrexham.
Yeah,
though.
we are. Yeah,
we can be.
Yeah.
So yeah. Look,
well, not to everyone. I mean, nobody kind of forgive Alex Hamilton, would they?
No, no, not at all. But it was a double gate week, I think, this week. A double gate.
Double gate.
So we had Rosie Gate.
We did.
And we also had FanZone Gate.
Oh, my goodness.
As well. So for anybody who doesn't know, the Temporary Cop, the club are doing a FanZone behind the Temporary Cop. Now, the FanZone will consist of live music, food trucks. That's something. I'm
assuming so,
and sort of like a bar and all that sort of thing. It's a place for people to go.
The stuff that's already there now.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, but the live music element's been introduced in. Now, you have the option to... now,
this is where it comes
a bit tricky.
This is where it becomes a gate.
Yes, this is where the gate comes in. So we assumed it would be a case of an option. So you could buy your ticket and pay 3, 4, 5 quid, whatever it may be, to get a seat in the FanZone.
Yeah.
Whatever, Yeah. And we thought, okay, fair enough. If that's what you want to do, you get on with it and you do that. It wouldn't be my ideal way. Personally, I would have liked to have seen the club do it for free, considering all you're really getting is live music. So, you could turn around and go, I tell you what, get rid of the live music and we'll just buy our own food and drink, which is what you have to do in the FanZone anyway. Blah, 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 blah. But what happened was some of the seats that went on sale, so I think, let's say half the seats, I don't know the actual numbers, half the seats included FanZone access and half the seats didn't. Mm-hmm. When the tickets for the Wycombe game went on sale, the half that didn't have FanZone access sold straight away. The ones that didn't sell very quickly are the ones that had FanZone access. Now, the trouble with it is you can't deselect it. You can't say, no, I don't want that. If you want that seat,
you have to pay
the extra for FanZone.
It's £32 for the FanZone and it's 23
Can't remember what it was now, but
it's about £5 cheaper, I think.
Yeah.
I definitely know it's £32 because my dad was having a rant about it.
So what you are doing, you're forcing something on people, which is a little bit disappointing from the club for me, because I think what it would have been nice for them to do would be to make it an option for everybody in that
All
stand.
the seats,
for everybody, make it an option. Do it for the first home game, right? And then everyone can choose whether they go into the fan zone or not. If you only sell 10 fan zones, knock it on the head. Move on.
You know it's not going to be a winner.
You know it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're forcing people into it, and it has created a bit of a storm, really, that people have been forced to buy stuff. Now, tickets are still sold, mainly because people really want to see the game. So they're having to pay extra for fan zone access, but the amount of people that we've seen have gone, I'm not even going to the fan zone.
It's literally going to and paying extra just for a seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're just paying the extra, and they're like, I'm going to be in the turf until 10 minutes before kickoff. I'm going to be in the My Squin. I'm not going in the fan zone, but I've had to pay for access to the fan zone just to get a ticket.
But the one thing that the club are good at is they come up with ideas and they do learn by their mistakes. So I'm hoping that this is going to be one of those times where they listen to the fans and they kind of go, right, okay.
We might have got this wrong.
We may have got this wrong. We may have gone, maybe not the fan zone, maybe they haven't got the fan zone wrong, but the way that they've gone about it, they may have, like you said, if they gave people the option.
Yeah.
For all of the seats rather than just half and half.
I think what they were expecting was they go, right, I think they were expecting the complete opposite. I think they were expecting all of the fan zone tickets to go straight away and then go, well, everyone clearly wants this fan zone. It's the first game of the season. They want to party. They want to go in. They want to hear the live music. Let's be honest, unless they're giving headphones out, if you're not in that fan zone, you can still hear that live music, can't you? So, you're not really getting anything for your money is what I mean.
Still not got a roof. I think that a lot of people were saying, you're getting a fan zone, you're getting food and drink, which you got anyway before this fan zone was introduced. The only difference is you are getting live music. And like you said, a lot of people, they don't want live music. It's like...
Well, you're paying to go to a little gig and it's potluck. You don't even know who it is. You haven't got a clue. You're going to see a random group who you might listen to 30 seconds of a song and go, not for me, thanks.
But you still have to listen to it because you're stuck in the fan zone.
Look, I think this is. I think they've got this a little bit wrong.
Yeah.
One thing I did disagree with online, I saw loads of people saying, "Oh well, It's simple, innit? You just if you don't want it, don't buy the tickets." I don't think that's a fair argument for people.
No, because people still want to see the game, even if they don't want to listen to the live music or whatever.
I think so.
People are kind of stuck in a hard place, aren't they? It's like, right, I really want to go see the game, but I really don't want to listen to live music.
It's not just that. I really want to go to the game, but I can't afford to pay the extra for something I'm not even going to use.
Yeah,
that's a bit of an argument.
Yeah. So I'll let you have a breather.
Thanks.
So last week, whilst we were in Ibiza, was it Wednesday? Wednesday, the gold kit was released. So this is the third kit. And the away kit is being launched on the 1st of August.
Yes.
You bought the gold kit.
I did.
You did. You were very excited. My dad bought the third kit with the gold kit, which I thought was very bizarre because my dad is like, ready to go. I didn't. When the home kit came out, he was like, I don't see the difference, blah, 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 blah. But he loved the gold kit. And I like it. But as I said, somebody messaged the other day and they basically said about the gold shirt. And I said, Ryan's ordered it. I said, I haven't ordered it as of yet because I would like to see what it looks like in the flesh, because I think it's more of I hate to say it, more of a boy type colour. I don't think with my colour in it, I mean, it might look all right because I've got a bit of a tan now, but when I get to winter and I'm pasty as anything, I just think it might wash me out a little bit. So I think I'm probably going to avoid the gold kit for that reason. But
Yeah, look, I loved it. I absolutely love it. I think when they said gold, I've said it before, when they said gold, it just filled me with dread. I was waking up in a cold sweat, thinking
I think that was just
gold
because we were
kit.
on holiday in Ibiza.
Gold kit. I thought, who do we think we are? Gold. I mean, it's ridiculous. Come out, it's beautiful.
It is, yeah. A lot of people were like sharing it because I believe that it got leaked actually before. Yeah. So we saw it the day before.
Yeah.
As a lot of other fans did. And I don't get me wrong, I do like it, but like I said, I think it's more of a masculine-y type colour. But you know, if you women out there like it, then that's their opinion. But I just think I'm a bit
Look, one last thing before we move on to two of the teams we're going to face next season. I wanted to talk quickly about the Bolton tickets. So that's another thing that went on sale when while we were on holiday.
Friday.
Yes. So obviously there's a slight time difference in Ibiza. Only an hour. Only very.
Where we were in Ibiza Rock's shop, weren't we?
Yeah.
Was that what it was called?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't, but
it sold Ibiza Rock stuff.
It's called.
Oh, is it? And Ryan was looking at T-shirts, and I went, "Oh my god!" And he was like, "What's happened?" And I went, "Bolton tickets!" It was 11:05, which was obviously 10:05 in the UK.
Yeah, so we missed it. Look, by the time we logged on, we missed it. There was nothing available. So what we did is we then logged on at 2:00. We managed to secure our tickets. Happy days. Everyone's happy. The question I just want to ask, I'll throw it open to everybody who's listening. Please feel free to comment, give your opinion. Me and Shan are season ticket holders, right? So the season ticket holder release was at 10 a.m. on the Friday morning, okay? Now, what the club always say is the 2 p.m. release is for members. So they sell most of the tickets to the season ticket holders at 10, and then they sell the rest of the tickets, however many, to members.
And then the rest, any left, go on sale a few days later or something.
But so season ticket holders fall under the bracket of a member as well.
Yeah.
Because when you buy a season ticket, you get a membership as part of that season ticket. The question I want to ask everyone, and please feel free to comment, is it fair that me and Shan missed out on getting tickets as season ticket holders, but then have the second chance to pick up tickets as members 4 hours later, which we did? Because the way the club sort of communicate it is, we've reserved X amount of tickets for members. That isn't the case, because out of all the tickets that got sold, literally 0 could go to members, and they could all go to season ticket holders. Let's say 80% are for season ticket holders, 20 are for members. The 80% all go to season ticket holders. When the member release comes out, season ticket holders could buy up them to that 20% as well.
A few people commented saying that whether they're season ticket holders,
we're not the only
know.
ones. I don't want to think that we found some loophole in the system. This happens all the time.
This is the first time we've ever done it, though.
It is
the first time.
But the
it's
amount
ever
of people going, I missed out at 10, but I got them at 2. Missed out at 10, but got them at 2. It all over the place, which starts to make you wonder, did any members actually get away tickets, or was it all season tickets? I just want to throw that. I'm not going to talk about it now. I wanted to ask what your opinion on that scenario is. With all the listeners, all the watchers, just comment. Send us a message. You can get in touch on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or email us at methewifeandwrexhamafc@gmail.com. Or you can comment on the video if you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Love to hear your input on that, and we might talk about that next week, depending if anybody cares and actually wants to comment. But yeah,
I'm sure they will. So next season's opponents, let's talk about our first one. So first up, we've got Stevenage.
We have
Stevenage. They were founded in 1976 as Stevenage Borough, the youngest club in the EFL without a caveat. They reformed after liquidation.
No, I'm going to read this out because you don't know what this means. Okay? So they are the youngest...
How do you know I don't know what this means?
Because I just heard what you said. They were only formed in 1976. So they're the youngest EFL club without some sort of caveat. involved. So, i.e., they haven't been reformed after liquidating, because there are other clubs that have done that, like Newport, I think, were reformed in 1989.
AFC Wimbledon.
No, AFC Wimbledon's a little bit different. AFC Wimbledon have no connection, technically, to the Wimbledon that came before, because that Wimbledon got moved to Milton Keynes and became MK Dons. So MK Dons have like a caveat. Well, they're not really formed in 2000 and whatever, because they were Wimbledon prior to that.
It's just that they
Wimbledon,
moved.
similar, because it's part of a whole saga. So they're the only one. If you look at youngest teams in the EFL, there are younger ones, but they've got like a little caveat on the end, is what I mean by this, like liquidized, reformed, moved from one city to another and renamed, or they're the only one who have nothing. They were just formed in 1976.
And that's it.
That's it.
So they play at Broadhall Way, known as the Lane Stadium for sponsorship purposes.
It's not called the Lane Stadium. I've tried to type something in there, and I don't know what's come out. I'm very tired. It's definitely not called the Lanes Stadium.
Okay, it's known as they play on Broadhall. Oh yeah, let's rewind. So they play at Broadhall Way, and they're known as something else because for sponsorship purposes.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know what that should say. Lamex, that should say.
Lamex Stadium.
There
we
you go. I couldn't remember. Sorry, it's definitely not Lanes.
So there are 107. How would you expect me to know that?
I don't know.
Anyway, they're 177 miles away from us, which is about 3 hours 20, which is a bit of a trek, but it's doable. They've got a capacity of 7,200, which means there's up to about 1,400 away fans allocated in the away end. Their last game was a 1-0 loss at the racecourse in February 2010.
Not their last game, the last game between the two teams.
Yeah, I know.
Say that every week.
But yeah, well, that's what I mean. People who know me know that I mean that. Anyway, their last game with us was a 1-0 loss at the racecourse in February 2010 in the National League. Their last away game against Wrexham was 0-0 draw in October 2009.
No, not their last away game against Wrexham. The last away game. Yeah. So we were away. They went away.
Against Wrexham? Yeah, all right. Stevenage won the league that year with 99 points. We finished 11th that season. Went back-to-back to League One. Did get relegated back to League Two 3 seasons later. And we promoted back to League One in 22-23.
Look, don't start on about my spelling on these notes. I'm tired.
And they finished last season at 9th on 71 points.
Look, the nickname is the Borough. And the reason is that when they were formed, they were called Stevenage Borough. Yeah. That's why they've kept that name. We play them away on the 1st of August and
October.
At home. Yes, October. And we play them at home on the 28th of January. The top scorer last season was Jamie Reid with 18th. Wait, oh my God.
18 goals.
Yes. They've released 8 players this summer and sold 1. They brought in 5 new players, including Dan Kemp from MK Dons. You might remember him. He scored 3 against us last season.
Was that the first game of the season?
No, it wasn't. He scored 2 for Swindon in the 5-all draw,
okay.
and he scored 1 for MK Dons
right.
In the 1-all draw at Stadium MK. Next one up is Rotherham United. They were founded in 1925, 92 miles away, about 2 hours. They play at New York Stadium. Nothing to do with that. It's just on New York Way. That's why it's called New York Stadium. Capacity of 12,021, up to 2,500 away fans, which is pretty decent.
Yeah.
Last game between the two clubs was a 3-0 away loss in December 2007 in League Two. Last home game was a 1-0 defeat in September of the same year. And that was the year that we were relegated down to the National League for 15 years. Ooh. Since then, they've spent a total of 5 seasons in League Two. 4 in League One and 6 in the Championship. Last season, they finished bottom of the Championship on 27 points with only 5 league wins to their name.
Their nickname is the Millers.
Yes.
Why? They're called Rotherham United.
Yeah, so they're called the Millers because their original ground was built in the middle of like the flour milling sort of like hub. So they became known as the
I remember
Millers.
you telling me about that. So our away game against Rotherham is on the 19th of October, and our home game is against them on the 8th of March at the racecourse. Their top scorer last season was Tom Eves, where he scored 6 goals. 11 players released in the summer. They've sold 2. 5 loan players returned back to their parent clubs, and they've brought in 11 players.
It might be more by now. They just keep buying players. It's ridiculous. I think the highest profile, maybe Johnson Clark-Harris. We've talked about him as a potential transfer rumour in the past, coming to Wrexham. He ended up going to Rotherham, with who he had played previously before he played for Peterborough. So yeah, they just keep buying players. It's mental. I'm sure there might even be more than 11, but I think the last time I counted it was 11.
They're going to have to get to a point where they can't buy it, because you have to have only a certain amount of numbers, don't you, for the
Yeah, I know. But
I don't know what it's called. What's it called when they have to...
The
squad list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I haven't done a quiz this week because it's just been absolutely hectic. I have got one question for you.
Oh, crap.
Did you have a good holiday?
Oh, my God, it was amazing. I was a bit miserable, wasn't I, on the Friday?
You were a little bit.
I was like, you kept saying to me, you all right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, no.
No.
We're going back. I think as well, for me, because I haven't got my job to go back to, it's a bit more like,
Trust me, having a job to go back to isn't exactly something that I'm just
But
skipping onto the plane.
On the job front, we are cracking on with it,
Yeah.
and I have some things in the pipeline, so I will keep you updated. I'm sure you're so interested in my job search.
Yeah, Sian has irons in fires, don't you?
I do. I have quite a few. I'm quite surprised. I did have an interview, obviously, before we went away.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't. It was an informal chat. But anyway.
Yeah. Which went really well as well.
I sparkled them with my amazing personality.
Yeah.
So they probably never call me back.
Look, a quick shout out before we go for Dragon Chat. We always mention it every week. It is a mental health peer support group. They run 2 calls on Zoom. One is on a Thursday at 7 p.m. and that is for men. The other one is on a Monday at 8 p.m. and that is for women. All the details of how to get onto them calls are down in the description if you're watching on YouTube. We love you all, and it is
Good night.
it is time to go.
Food. We need food. It's really
beer.
horrible that we have, like, what did you say yesterday? It was like 11:30 and he was like, it's 11:30 and in the morning this is.
Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't even had a beer yet.
I know.
And we don't have like our food served to us.
I know.
It's
horrible.
really depressing. Well, we did technically have our food served to us yesterday because we had a takeaway.
We did. But I'm going to have a beer now because it's that time.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Here, I think.
Here, actually. Weirdly. Anyway, look.
5 to 5!
Anyway, right. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.